get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming here and joining us, or if you're going to watch later, we appreciate everybody and just hope that somebody will find value. In fact, I know people are going to find value in what we're going to talk about today. I have some amazing guests here today. I have Miss Kaytee Godiva with us today, and she and we're like family because we work together, and she's going to talk to us today about some really serious challenges that she had during her pregnancy that had effects on her body that are still long-standing. And her daughter Ava is 8 months old now, I think. So 10?
Yeah, 10 months.
10 months. Wow, time flies, honey. So, we're going to let Kaytee tell her story, and then we've got some special guests. Dawn, I'm going to pull up my other, I can't minimize. Okay, let me come over here. I want to say these introduce people right. Okay, we have Dawn Johanknecht. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you. And Dr. Miriam Leean. And they're both have lots to share with us, and everybody here is just super excited and focused on wellness. That's why we come together every week and just trying to connect practitioners and people together, and products, because I myself have experienced several miracles in my life. I've gotten two of the most perfect surgeons. I mean, if you knew the whole story, it's nothing but God sent, and that I wound up with the surgeons that I did that got me out of a wheelchair both times. I've had products that made a tremendous difference in my life, and I know other people have too. And there are procedures out there that can bring hope to people where there was no hope before. So these are the sorts of things that we want to talk about here. And Kaytee, honey, you want to start off?
Absolutely. Hi, guys. I'm Kaytee. They call me Kaytee Godiva. I have a 10-month-old. Her name is Ava. And when I gave birth to my daughter, I was diagnosed with, first, it was hypertension at 20 weeks. The first 20 weeks of my pregnancy were amazing. Normally you got to pee every 5 minutes and heartburn and throwing up, but nothing out of the ordinary. And I was excited to get pregnant and become a mother, because I actually was told when I was younger I had 2 miscarriages and a cyst on my ovaries, that chances of conception without IVF or with infertility were pretty much like slim to zero. They said it was like a 1 in a million chance. Well, it was definitely 1 in a million. And I ended up getting pregnant, and I was nervous, of course. So the first 13 weeks I was biting my fingernails at every appointment. Like, I hope this sticks. I really want to be a mom, because I had given up hope at 28 that I would be a mother. So fast forward to, delivery day, I had been diagnosed with hypertension at 20 weeks. By the time I hit 30 weeks, they said I had mild preeclampsia. And then from 30 weeks to 34 weeks, I went into severe preeclampsia. And I was going in for weekly NSDs where they monitored the baby, checked my blood pressure, because my blood pressures were up and down. I had to be put on strict bed rest, bathroom only. So that sucked, because I was working CNA work and kind of was like, why do I have to not work? I need to provide for my daughter. So it was frustrating. And I went in for the NSD thinking everything was okay. Ava's stubborn as it is, so she would move constantly in the womb, and they would get frustrated with me because they're like, well, we need to hear her heartbeat. So I was like, that day, I'm like, oh, it's just her being stubborn, not really trying to think anything was really wrong. But I had this feeling, and I had already been packing my bag at 32 weeks. I just had this feeling. And they had said, at 37 weeks, they had planned on inducing me because of my preeclampsia. Well, we didn't make it to that. That 34-week NSD, it was 34 weeks and 4 days. Went in, she was moving too much. They were worried about her heartbeat. The nurse stepped out to talk to Dr. McVeigh, who was my doctor at Parker in Colorado. And I heard them in the hallway. And because I'm a CNA, I know a lot about the medical field. So I'm a really hard patient, I'm sure, for people to deal with. And I could hear them. And my worst fears, I knew what they were going to say. I was going into eclampsia. So they rushed me to labor and delivery, and I was scared. I didn't really know what was going on too much. It was really terrifying and traumatic to go through it. And if I do tear up, guys, I apologize. It's still something that really affects me to this day. But I, get rushed up to labor and delivery, and I like been there 6 times already because of the hypertension and just other things with my pregnancy. So I was already like frustrated that I had to go back up there again. And I get up there, and she comes in, and she's mentioning a high risk pregnancy doctor, and that's the first time I'd heard of that. So I knew. I was like, they're going to make me deliver today. And I told my dad, I told my brother, I told Jonathan, I was like, they're going to make me deliver the baby. And in my head, I knew, I'm like, prematurity, is there a chance that my daughter's going to make it? Like, things are going through my head. And the doctor, sure enough, comes in, and she's like, we have to deliver you. Now, they didn't really specifically tell me to my face that I was going into eclampsia, but my liver and my kidneys were shutting down. So I was, rushed into basically induction. I had to be put on magnesium sulfate through an IV, which, let me tell you guys, was the most painful experience ever. To have a catheter stuck up there while you're pregnant, not exactly the most comfortable feeling. And then, they're constantly pushing up there and checking your cervix. Are you dilated? And, so I had to be on that for 24 hours, which means that I was close to seizing and stroking. Of course, I'm still oblivious. I kind of know, but I don't really know. And so they go ahead and start the induction process. I'm scared. I'm freaked out. I don't know what to expect. I'm thinking I'm going to have a vaginal delivery, but Miss Ava is a stubborn butt. I couldn't get past 4 centimeters dilated, and I was in labor for 24 hours. So by the time I hit 34 weeks and 5 days, which was August 5th, my daughter wasn't due until September 11th. I gave birth at 8:16 p.m. via emergency C-section. I was scared the entire time in the OR. It's the first surgery I'd ever had. I remember grabbing Jonathan's hand and telling him, please don't let me go to sleep because I may not wake back up. Sitting there waiting for the baby to come out was probably the most traumatic experience because I'm like thinking the worst, like, is my daughter going to be okay? I don't know what's going on. She came out and she cried. And that first cry, I broke down crying. It was the most beautiful experience. They lift her up. They're like, here's your baby, and then wheel her away because she was born without surfactant in her lungs. So her lungs were collapsing on her. So Jonathan went with her, cut the cord, took all the pictures. I'm still highly drugged up at this point. I mean, I was way drugged up, and they just kept giving me Dilaudid because I could feel them pushing back everything in me and sewing me up. And I mean, I could feel it all. So I'm freaking out. I'm still telling the doctor, please don't let me go to sleep. Come out of OR. My whole family is there. Like immediately out of the operating room, I go into recovery, and I'm still so drugged up, and I will never forget it because my eye like cocked to one side, and my dad and sister-in-law said I looked just completely dead. Like they thought I died. I looked horrible. And I don't really remember too much of it, but I remember the nurse was like, okay, well, we're going to put her to sleep. And I looked at my sister-in-law, I was like, they're going to put me down. Like, am I going to wake back up? And she was like, of course you're going to wake back up. You're fine. You need to get your rest. So I fell asleep. I think it was probably about an hour. I remember I couldn't feel my legs. And that was a really intense, scary feeling for me because I'm a very active go, go, go type of person. So I was like, okay, I can't feel my legs. This is weird. Had to have the epidural. I mean, it was a really interesting experience. And I remember coming to, and they wheeled me into the NICU. And this is when it really got emotional for me, seeing my daughter in a box. And I didn't get to hold my daughter until she was 4 days old because of how bad things were. So I remember seeing her in a box and like holding her little hand and, telling her mommy's here. And like I was so drugged up that like honestly I just wanted to go to sleep. So they wheeled me off into my room and I fell asleep, and I woke up the next morning and I still can't get out of bed. Mind you, I'm on magnesium sulfate so I don't seize and stroke. I'm stuck in the bed. I'm not sure what's going on. No one's explaining things to me. So I called down to the NICU and asked if I can come down and see my daughter. And the nurse there is so rude to me. She's like, you can't hold her. And I was like, I didn't ask to hold her. I asked to see her. I haven't seen her. I just gave birth to her. I'm scared. And they ended up sending one of the charge nurses and one of the head people in charge of the NICU department to come tell me what was going on because I didn't understand why I couldn't hold my daughter. And I remember breaking down crying hysterically, feeling like I failed, like my body failed me as a mother because I couldn't hold my daughter in full term. and I couldn't protect her from something like this. So, and I didn't know what preeclampsia really was until after I had been diagnosed. I'd done a little research, but I never really fully understood what was going on with my health until afterwards, postpartum. And I just remember crying and breaking down, and they told me, your daughter's lungs collapsed. She doesn't have surfactant in her lungs. She was on oxygen. At that time, her ABR or ABGR scores, I'm sure Catherine knows what I'm talking about. Her scores were a little high, so they were like 55, and they said it could go either way. It could go the worst, or it could go the best. And I remember just having faith and praying to God, like, why would he give me this beautiful blessing, get me to this point, and I lose my daughter? So I kept praying and praying, and thankfully, my daughter is perfect. She's beautiful. She's healthy. You would never know that she was born early. She doesn't act like a premature baby. I got to take her home after 2 weeks. I finally got to hold her at 4 days. She was born 4 pounds, 5 ounces. Tiny little thing, but she's a feisty little one, as they said in the NICU. And I think that her fighter spirit came from me and her dad together. And, she's here, and she's a beautiful kid now. She talks up a storm, and she wants to be the next multimillionaire at 6 years old. So, there's always a silver lining out of it, but my health has taken a beating. I do a lot. I am still doing CNA work, but I only do short shifts instead of 12-hour shifts like I used to. I'm adjusting to my new normal, as they would call it. A lot of days are hard for me to get out of bed. A lot of people don't know that, because I put on a really good front that I'm okay, because I'm used to being the all-glorious Kaytee Godiva, super mommy, as everybody calls me. So, I really held it in and kind of hid it from the world and my business partners, so they didn't really understand what was going on. But I finally decided to share my story just a few days ago, because I had a really rough week with my health. I, went to the emergency room. My blood pressure was high. I was coughing up blood. Catherine knows a lot of what was going on, because I keep it, like she said, we're like family. So I keep her in the loop of what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And I suffer from migraines every day. I have chronic fatigue. So even if I sleep 8 hours a day, plus having a 10-month-old, who sometimes is teething and doesn't sleep, doesn't always help. So I'm exhausted a lot of the time, but I don't let that stop me. I still push forward, and I'm hoping that I can take my preeclampsia story and really inspire others that are going through it, that they're not alone, because I felt alone. Like, I feel like nobody understands what I'm going through. And then I met Catherine, and oddly enough, she was an RN and, was in the NICU. So she just kind of understood and connected to me about how I feel going through what I went through, because it's a very traumatic experience to have a daughter or a son in the NICU. It's a very rough experience as parents to leave the hospital and you don't get to take your child home with you. It's not a fun experience. So having people that understand it, I'm starting to slowly come out of my shell and share my story. And I pray that I can, bring light to preeclampsia, find a cure for it, and hopefully save other people's lives. Because to be honest with you guys, I didn't know I was that sick. And I remember the day I was discharged, the doctor that discharged me said, I was a lucky woman to be alive, because I was going to die. My liver was shutting down. My kidneys were about to fail. I was going to seize. I was going to stroke. And I had no idea. Like, I had felt totally fine. I would never guess. And that's why they call it the silent killer, because it really is something that, you just feel fine. It's normal. You think it's normal pregnancy. I was so swollen. I looked like Oompa Loompa. I had pitting edema. I mean, to me, I thought it was summertime. I'm pregnant. Probably nothing. But it was, it was definitely a scary experience, because it was the preeclampsia. So after having that, I had postpartum preeclampsia. I wasn't really shared that information until I found it in my own health records, because once again, as a CNA, like, do my own research. So I went into my own health records and found out they did diagnose me onset August 11th with postpartum preeclampsia. I wasn't on blood pressure medication until after I delivered. I'm still on blood pressure medication to this day. I take lisinopril 40 milligrams daily, once a day, and I'm hoping to get off of that soon. I do have a doctor appointment today with a new PCP, hopefully somebody that knows how to deal with my situation, because I have, now predisposed chronic hypertension from having all of these problems. So there's times my blood pressure has been 185 over 125, and my head screams so bad. Like, I can't see straight. I have spotters in my vision. I've had seizures before. I had one, I'd say probably a week or two after the baby came home from the NICU. I had one in my sleep. So it's a scary situation, but I hope that I can inspire other people out there. And I really appreciate you guys letting me share my story. It's therapeutic to talk about it, because for a while I was really private about it, and I felt kind of ashamed of myself, because I was like, law of attraction. I had been researching and worrying about it, and maybe more so putting my thoughts into like creating my reality. And so I kind of blamed myself. Not so much now. I know that my mom was toxic with me, and she almost died giving birth to me too. So it's genetic, it's placenta related. It had nothing to do with me. But when you're a mom, you go through those feelings of like, I didn't protect my child. I should have kept her in longer. Why did my body fail me? And then I have people ask me all the time, are you ready to have another one? When are you going to have another one? And I'm like, I'm terrified to get pregnant again. What if I don't make it? Like, the doctors advise me against getting pregnant. I'm on birth control pills because they don't want me to get pregnant. If I did, I probably wouldn't survive it. So, that's also a hard thing, to think that I may only have one child and never be able to have another one. So it's definitely been a rough experience, but I'm going to take, everything with positivity and have faith that my body will heal itself, and I'll get back to my former glory where I don't have headaches every single day and I'm not feeling like I ran a marathon. Like, just basic tasks that everybody does. Like, I went grocery shopping and cleaned the house yesterday, and you would have thought I ran the boulder, like, because it feels like that. Like, my body hurts, my feet hurt. Like, I can't explain it. It's just like the oddest feeling to have it. And especially, I'm only 29 years old, so I'm not ready to feel like an old person yet. Like, I sometimes feel like I'm 80 or 90 and I need a walker. So but that's my story. I wanted to share that with you guys. I will be hopping off. I'll try to stay on as long as possible, but we do have to run to the doctor so I can get a checkup on my blood pressure, and hopefully found the right doctor that will stay with me, because I haven't really been monitored since, I'd say, I think it was March. My doctor quit in April, sent me a letter in the mail, said he no longer was practicing medicine. I've been struggling to find a new doctor, and finally did by, just being at my OBGYN and telling them constantly, like, I need a doctor. Like, you guys can't not monitor me. Like, because there was a brief part where I had no lisinopril. I had labetalol left, which I wasn't supposed to take that, but I ended up having to take it because I had no doctor to prescribe me lisinopril. I can't not take blood pressure medication, because if I do, I will die from not, like, my blood pressure will go so high that I will end up in the hospital. So I had to, and even in doing that, I still ended up in the emergency room, and thankfully they gave me lisinopril. But my goal and dreams are to get off of it holistically. And, Dr. Breakthrough has some amazing stuff that Catherine's been telling me about that I'm really ready and excited to start trying. And, I've been really trying anything I can to change my diet, exercise more, just be more active. And being in business really keeps me focused from thinking about the negative, and having something to look forward to and passing down to my daughter. So thank you guys for giving me the time to share my story, and I hope I inspire somebody. No matter what you go through, even with health, if you have a dream, don't make excuses for yourself. I could have made a ton of excuses today, like, oh, Catherine, I have a migraine. I don't, I had so much to do today. I got a doctor appointment. I can't do this Zoom. I can't get on the conference calls. But I don't have that mentality. I have a I can do it mentality, and they call me super mom. So that's very good. Thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And, I was a NICU RN for 20 years and have been with many moms during preeclampsia. And it's incredibly frightening. And, for those of us that work in that atmosphere, we sort of, we're used to it. And, but for a parent, for that to be their baby, I mean, that's a whole different situation. So, and yes, you inspire us every day, and I want to thank you and stay on as long as you can, but it is being recorded so that you can hear what Dr. Miriam and Dawn are going to add here. So Dr. Miriam, let me have you come on, because I know you're probably on a tight time schedule.
Yes. Wow. Quite the story. I guess I could start off with just a little bit of story to relate I also suffered with PCOS for many years and was told by every fertility specialist in the state of Wisconsin that my only chances of having children was through in vitro fertilization. And that was not an option for me personally, so, or my husband. So we just had to buckle down and get healthy. And we now have two amazing little boys, all natural. They're 5 and 2.5. So I would love, thank you. I would love to even speak personally with Supermom and share a little bit more of that with her if she wants to hear more. I won't bore the rest of you with all that story, but it is incredible. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about today too is that there is some amazing new breakthroughs in science that I wish I had known about when I was going through my struggles with infertility and just getting healthy. In chiropractic, I've been a chiropractor for going on 17 years pretty soon. And so we emphasize health, we emphasize natural living and nutrition, but you know, to live that life is another thing. And to really buckle down and get serious about being healthy, you really kind of have to have that eye-opening experience to get to that point in your life where you say, now's the time for me. So, so I did that, and I have two amazing children as a result. And I strive now with my patients to get them to that point through nutrition, through nutritional counseling, through nervous system correction with chiropractic adjustments. Exercise, of course, is very important. 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I was introduced to a new product line that, and I get products thrown at me all the time. What do you think of this, doc? What do you think of that? How about this company? How about that company? And some are good and some aren't so good. And you have to really weed through the literature, and you have to read through the stuff that comes with everything. I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for, but at any rate, there's so much information out there, and it can be mind-boggling as to what you follow through with. So I rely on the science, and I rely on the research to really say that this is good, this is better than that, this isn't any good at all, whatever it happens to be. So 3 years ago, a product was brought to my attention, which is basically a new scientific breakthrough, and it's called Protandem, and it has a new name now called Protandem Nerf 2. And what it does is it basically allows the body on a natural basis to re-energize, protect, defend, and repair cellular damage from oxidative stress. What's oxidative stress? It's the stress that occurs on the cell from free radical damage. And most of us have probably heard of those terms. But to put it all together, the NRF2, or otherwise known as NRF2, is a protein in your body that's already there, and it's monitoring the cellular stress all the time. But as we age, as things happen to us, as our health may deteriorate for this, that, or the next reason, that NRF2 protein might not work as effectively on the cell, and the cell may not respond as quickly. And so what they have discovered is that through Protandem, which is a natural blend of botanicals, that's all it is, they've been able to activate that NRF2 protein to make sure that it's monitoring that cellular stress appropriately, and when necessary, boost that own cell's antioxidant protection and repair the cell and fight against that oxidative stress, which is amazing. And that's a very watered down explanation of what Protandem NRF2 does. And then recently, they've also come out with a 1-2 punch, essentially. They now have also gotten deeper into the cell and realized there's an NRF1, which is a completely different protein that is even deeper in the cells, in the mitochondria. And for anybody that has any scientific background, you'll know that, or remember from Biology 101, the mitochondria are your powerhouses of your cell. That's where the energy is created for your entire body, but especially for each individual cell. So when that NRF1 now can be activated, it's increasing mitochondrial production, it's increasing its efficiency, it's increasing cellular health, cellular longevity, it's improving people's ability to sleep. So that combined with Protandem NRF2 is a 1-2 punch on really stopping oxidative stress. And we have scientific research that shows that it works in 100% of the people by reducing oxidative stress by minimally 40% in the first 30 days of using the product. And so the research is there, which is so compelling for me. But now with the advent of Nerf1 Protandem, it really works together at increasing the energy with people. And when you have more energy, you can be healthier, you can exercise more, you can get out of bed a little bit easier. You don't have to put on quite as strong of a front of a face to say, I'm super mom. You can feel like you're super mom instead of just acting like super mom. But we can't claim that anything treats or mitigates or cures any of these disease processes, but we do know from research that oxidative stress is linked to over 200 different disease processes. And so when you think about it, if we were able to reduce oxidative stress in our bodies, and oxidative stress is attached to over 200 different disease processes, wouldn't it make sense that we could reduce the prevalence of these diseases just by controlling oxidative stress from a natural botanical basis? So I got super excited about these products. PubMed.gov is one of my favorite websites, and that's the National Institute of Health's archive of all peer-reviewed, legitimate research. And when you go out there and just plug something in, for example, hypertension and oxidative stress, you'll come up with 39,388 articles that talk about some relationship between hypertension and oxidative stress. So you have to kind of put those two and two together and say, if there's a product on the market that is amazing and scientifically proven to reduce oxidative stress, doesn't that make sense to do that? So that's kind of my story on how I got involved with the product. The company itself has got a few other products too that work along those same lines at improving energy, improving cellular health, decreasing the signs of aging, because oxidative stress essentially is aging of the cell. It's rusting of the body from the inside out. And that's going to look different for a lot of people. It may be decrease in energy, it may be advent of nervous system problems, it may be disease processes, degenerative processes that occur. It may simply be wrinkles on the face. Who knows how it's going to affect everybody? But when you can reduce that, the effects are profound. So, and there's a lot of testimonials out there, but we do have to be cautious on sharing too many testimonials because it is just anecdotal when it's coming at a testimonial. They're amazing, but it's anecdotal. So you really have to go to the research and say, this stuff's pretty amazing and it might be able to help me. So that's kind of why I stepped on here, to be able to share that and give people the opportunity that if they're interested in hearing more, I can send the links out to different websites to show you the research. I don't want people to take my word for it. Yes, I'm a doctor of chiropractic with a specialty in pregnancy and pediatrics, but that doesn't mean you should always take my word for it, because at the end of the day, it is still just my opinion, backed by science, but it's still my opinion, and you have to decide what's right for yourself by connecting the dots. So it's wonderful to have a platform like this, Catherine, where we can get out and share this information. And Dawn has exciting information about this particular company to share too. I'm kind of the science background of that, and then I let her do the rest of it. So unless you have a specific question, that's kind of what I came to talk about.
Actually, I do have a question. When you're reducing the oxidative stress like that, does that in turn reduce cortisol levels?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, cortisol is your stress hormone. So looking at the research specifically, I'd have to see if there's one that talks specifically about that. I'm sure that there probably is. But if you're able to reduce your internal cellular stress, the body's not going to be into the stress response quite as much.
Right.
And glands may not be working overtime as in pumping out cortisol like crazy. So
That's
there
what
probably is a
I
very
was thinking. I took a product once that decreased cortisol levels by 50%, and it really it had a stunning effect on me. Like eventually it wore off, but I thought God had just reached down and healed me. Literally, that's the difference it made. So,
well,
it
just
makes
is
sense.
in science right now too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have any questions, Kaytee? I see you're still kind of listening in.
I am. I'm just packing up her diaper bag. Not too much. I would like to hear more about the products, though. Definitely something I would bring to my doctor, and I'm open-minded to trying anything. I just want to feel how I felt before this happened. So I can go back and do the things I'm used to doing. I enjoy taking care of people. I've been in school for my BSN for 2.5 years. I'm ready to graduate, and there's just so much I have to do that I miss my energy. As you guys can tell, even just packing the diaper bag, I'm out of breath. So I get short of breath sometimes, just out of nowhere, dizzy. So I'm ready to get my health back. And I would love to talk to Dr. Miriam privately as well.
I would love to connect with you. How can we connect on Facebook, or do you have an email that we can?
Sure. I'm on Facebook under Kaytee, Kaytee, and Godiva, like the chocolate, Godiva. And I'm actually friends with Catherine on there too, so you guys should be able to find me pretty easily.
Yes, and anyone can put any links that they want to in the chat box, and I'll save the chat from this so that we have those. I can pass those links forward to people as well.
That would be great.
Yeah, this is a wonderful platform. This is Zoom, and we actually had another suicide in our pudendal nerve community, and that's what spurred me. I knew about this technology. I had been on several, and I'm like, well, why can't we just have a place where people can come for help if they need it? Because usually when people get that desperate, it's because they feel like nobody will listen. The first 5 years having all 6 branches trapped. Here I had been a nurse for 20 years taking care of 23 and 24 weekers even, and suddenly they're telling me I'm crazy because they couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And it was really beyond frustrating to not have any help, because when you are really ill, you don't have the mental capacity to reach out to people for the things that you need, so it's important to have a place to go where somebody will say, even if they have to say, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I'll stand beside you while we find out. Key word there being we. Not like, oh, I feel bad for you, go figure it out on your own. No, I'm saying let's help people figure this stuff out so that they don't feel so alone. So I'll get off my soapbox. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you. Because I've been feeling that way, just with the doctor issue that I've been feeling by myself, frustrated. And then when I go to the emergency room and I'm telling them how I feel, they sometimes make me feel like I'm crazy. Like, well, you shouldn't have this. You should have been cured with delivery, and you should be fine now. And I'm like, but I'm not. So it's been frustrating. My fingers are crossed for the doctor today that they know something, that they don't look at me like I'm crazy. And I literally took the post that I shared with you, Catherine, with that lady that said 11 years, and her symptoms match mine identically. So it's not just me. There's other people that have this, that have been through it, that feel the way I do. So this has been a great forum. We're getting ready to head out the door, but I will check the recording and get back with everybody. But thank you guys for having me on. It was a pleasure meeting everybody, and I will talk with you guys soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Kaytee. Give little Ava a kiss for us.
I will. She's
Okay.
a nap. She's taking a nap, but when she wakes up, I'll tell her you said hi.
All right.
All right. Bye.
Okay. So I'll just kind of let you ladies come forward with whatever information you have for us. We will enjoy listening.
Well, what I found is that you really have to take your health into your own hands. And, we trust the doctors because they've got the MD behind their name and they're specialists. And obviously they went to school, and we hope that they can help us. And what I found is through my own health issues that there's definitely a time and a purpose for them, but you definitely have to take your health into your own hands because they don't always have the answers. And that was kind of my experience with, and I can relate to a little small part of Kaytee's story. I went into my doctor 5 days before I was supposed to deliver with my first baby, which I struggled to conceive, and I had already had 1 miscarriage, and they told me that I was done working because my blood pressure had gone through the roof. And I'd never had high blood pressure, and I said, no, I got to get back to work. And they said, no, you don't. You're going home. and they were putting me on immediate bed rest because of my blood pressure. And I didn't understand so many things about health and medicine. I'm a CPA. I worked 60 to 70 hours a week at my firm, and I was going to try to be super mom and have it all, have a baby and have my career. And so I, kind of long story short is I went back, I got permission to go back to work because it was during tax season. I had both of my first two babies in March, which is at the height of my busiest time of the year in tax season. And I said, let me go back and at least clear off my desk, because I was thinking I had at least 5 more days. So I did that and had the baby. And after I had the baby, my blood pressure didn't go down. And I still had high blood pressure, which I didn't understand. What's the risk? I don't feel anything. So when she says silent killer, yeah, I felt perfectly fine. I didn't feel like I had high blood pressure. I felt fine. Let me leave the hospital in the 48 hours after birth. And they said, no, you're staying here. And nobody would tell me why. Nobody would explain to me why I had to stay in the hospital. But I was there for over 5 days, and it was a normal birth, no other complications. And finally, probably about day 3 or 4, when I was starting to get really frustrated, a doctor came into the office or into my room, and she was a cardiac nurse, a prior cardiac nurse. And she explained to me that the reason I had to stay there is because I could stroke. And that's what the blood pressure could cause. And I finally said, okay, I'm staying. But there was no explanation. There was no, this is why, just educate me and tell me what the risks were, and none of that. So it was very frustrating. But, fast forward about 3 years, I had, I started experiencing horrific back pain down my sciatic nerve. My L5-S1 disc had herniated to the right side and was hitting my sciatic nerve, and I had massive pain running down my leg. And because sorry about that, because I had, I was scared to death to have surgery. I also worked on the business side of healthcare. So I worked 95% of my firm, 95% of my practice. I went on to be a partner in the CPA firm. We were a large regional firm, and my niche was healthcare. So my niche was working with the specialists in the hospitals and the clinics, ironically. And those specialists were telling me, don't get surgery, because they saw all the bad outcomes. And they said, try everything else. And I did. I tried physical therapy. I obviously tried chiropractic. I tried everything to avoid it. 1.5 years of massive pain. I was screaming in pain. I couldn't stand it anymore. So I had the surgery. The surgery was successful. But because I waited too long, the doctor said, your nerve is permanently inflamed, and there's nothing more we can do for that surgically. So you're going to have to take, the best way to manage that pain is to take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen several times a day. So I did that for 7 years, not knowing, again, you do what the doctors tell you to do. And I was like, well, what else am I going to do? I need to exist. I've got these 2 little girls at the time that I had to take care of. And I was the breadwinner. My husband's a stay-at-home dad. We did that by choice. And I took the ibuprofen for 7 years. And in between those 7 years, the same disc herniated to the other side, to the left side. That time I had surgery right away because I knew what was coming. And actually I was pregnant with my 3rd daughter that the doctor said I was not going to be able to have. I struggled to get my first 2 daughters. We wanted a 3rd child. The doctor said pretty much it's not going to happen for you. I was over 40 and I said, I'm going to stop. I'm not even going to try anymore. And I guess that's when it happened. So I was pregnant with my 3rd daughter at 13 weeks. I had massive back pain. I knew I wasn't going to make it for the whole pregnancy. So we weren't telling anybody I was pregnant because I didn't know if I was going to be able to carry the baby to term. So here's where I went and got one opinion, and then a second opinion, and a third opinion. So I started learning that you get multiple opinions from doctors. The first one's not always right. And the first doctor said, not doing surgery on you pregnant. The second doctor said, you absolutely have to have surgery now. You'll never make it. I wanted to hug the guy. He was the head of the UW Spines Clinic in Madison, Wisconsin. And so had the surgery. My daughter is fine. She's wonderful. She's beautiful. There are no no problems, no ill effects from that. So I have 3 girls, but I was still taking this ibuprofen from the right side because I had waited too long, and that nerve was permanently damaged and it was inflamed. They said it's inflamed. So take the ibuprofen to manage the inflammation. So for 7 years I did that. And then this product, somebody shared this Protandim with me, had me watch the ABC Primetime Investigative Report. And I watched it and I said, I probably need to get that in my body to offset all the damage caused by the ibuprofen, which I knew I shouldn't be taking, but you have to live. So I started taking the Protandim just to reverse the damage to the rest of my organs. When I read the science behind this and ran it past a few doctors who were open-minded and more holistic and would actually look at the science, because this is an all-natural product, and I run into physicians that say that's not going to do any good, and which irritates me now to just no end whatsoever. I have no patience for closed-minded physicians now. But so I started taking this Protandim, and about 7 to 8 weeks, somewhere in that time frame, 7 to 8 weeks later, my back pain was gone. I have not taken any ibuprofen for my back in over a year. And I was amazed. I didn't understand why. I didn't care why or how. Who cares? I'm not in pain anymore. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? 7 years and now no ibuprofen. So then Washington University came out with a study in February of 2015. Yeah. And my back pain ended. I didn't have any pain as of about November of 2014. And then February of 2015, Washington University came out with this study that showed that if you can activate NRF2 in your body, and it listed all of the things that it can do when you reduce oxidative stress in your body by activating NRF2. And one of the things listed, and Washington University, I have a copy of the study, I can email it to you. They listed it can prevent NRF2 activation, can prevent cancer, and it can reduce inflammation, and it can help with IBS, because IBS is caused by inflammation. I had that problem too for my entire life, and that I don't have IBS anymore. So I've kind of have 2 amazing results from this stuff. So I love it. But then when Washington University came out with their study, they said when you activate NRF2, it reduces inflammation in the body. And I'm like, okay, aha, now I know why I've had such great results, because NRF2 reduces inflammation, reduces inflammation, and inflammation is caused by oxidative stress in the body. Protandim has been clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. So we can't claim that Protandim cures, prevents, or treats any diseases, but what we can say is that it reduces oxidative stress by 40%. And that was what my problem was. The oxidative stress was causing the inflammation. And, when you connect the dots, I finally I could point to something. I could point to something that says, okay, this is why this works. So I am forever grateful. And I started the business right away when I first saw that ABC Primetime, because I thought, not only was I experiencing physical pain, but I was so stressed out at my job, and I was in a very dark place career-wise, and I felt trapped that I couldn't quit, because all I knew how to do was be a CPA and help people with their financial issues and be a consultant. And when I saw this business plan and I saw the timing of what we had as a business, and timing is absolutely everything in business. They say location is everything in realty. Well, timing is everything in business. And if you can get on the forefront of a technology that nobody else knows about and be first, and as that spreads, that's where you want to be from a business perspective. So I jumped into the business. I did it part-time for about 14 months and grew our network, and I retired from my CPA practice in December. So I am a free woman. And now I'm helping everybody else get that same type of freedom, because I wanted to be home with my 3 little girls. they're 13, 11, and 4 now. And, you know, I was struggling to have it all. And when people say, oh yeah, you can have it all and work-life balance, I'm sorry, but that is not true. It's something you can, but you're going to pay for it somewhere. There's a cost. And with this kind of a business model, I didn't know anything about it before. And when I really dug into the industry and dug into what it can really truly give families, I love talking to like-minded people that want that they want it all. They want to be able to support themselves, take care of their family, and help other people. So the products that we have, and Protandim Nerve 2 and Protandim Nerve 1, I mean, who doesn't need more energy? I had a baby over 40, and that's not the same as when you have a baby in your 20s or early 30s. So energy is definitely much needed and very welcomed.
Yeah, it's thank you so much. What an amazing story. And yeah, you have some fantastic, you have three really strong testimonials at least there, because another thing that I'm very supportive of is networking. I was an RN for 20 years. I worked 12-hour shifts. Then I also picked up shifts home health with the babies that we graduated out of the NICU that went home on ventilators. So I was away from my kids. I missed a lot of my kids coming up. And now, you know, I have grandkids. My daughter's 35 now, and I have a son, and I have grandkids, and I am trying to show them there's a better way than the way I did it. I know I raised you to work hard, long hours, and go to school and all that stuff, but I'm telling you, I was wrong. You need to do something this way so you can be with your kids and enjoy every moment. You know, we didn't have the cell phones where you can take the video when the kid's doing something cute. We didn't have that back then, so just be there to see it. And I love people helping each other. We don't all, we're all entrepreneurs. We can support one another without being in each other's businesses. I mean, we can still get from each other and help each other and send people to each other and all that kind of stuff. But because there's plenty of people that needs all these products, and I can tell that this is an amazing product. And I don't know if Kaytee was on to hear that this product was actually developed in our area, Kaytee. So your doctor may even have heard of it. You don't know. Is it in the PDR?
In the what? The PDR?
PDR, the physician desk reference.
Oh, it's on PubMed.gov, and which is the Institute of Health's government-funded website where all peer-reviewed research is stored. There's 18 studies on PubMed.gov done by independent universities like University of Colorado, Louisiana State University, Ohio State, and it's actually also deep into a lot of the medical journals. So American Heart Association has published articles on it. Biology, Miriam, help me out. There's a lot of other publications that if the doctors, and so I worked on the business side of healthcare, and I found that these doctors are just not even reading these publications, which is really frustrating because they're not up on all of the latest and greatest research. So when somebody says, I'll run that by my doctor, I said, here, please take this to them and show them where to look, because I do want your doctor to know about it, but they're not going to know where to look. But it is deep in the publications. And Miriam, where else is it?
I'm trying to figure out how to do Zoom. This is my first one.
Just talk. We can hear you.
Oh, the best place is to be out on PubMed and find the research out there. But also, if you're looking at some of the research specific to Life Vantage, so you can find out which journals it's actually in, if you go to the Life Vantage website, there's a whole link to all of the science that's there and available to it. Louisiana State University, Ohio State University, It's been on ABC, it's been on PBS, it's been on NBC, it's been on all these other places, and the website really does a good job. Because it's a publicly traded, it has to be completely transparent. So anything you're looking for is out there. And if somebody's listening that wants to get the product, you have to get it through an independent distributor. It's the only possible way. Some of the products you might find that look like Protandim NRF1 or NRF2 might be available on Amazon, eBay, things like that. Don't do it. They might be knockoffs. We cannot control. They're not supposed to be sold on venues like that. And there have been people that have been getting knockoffs, which could be very harmful to you. So you do have to be careful where you get it from. So I saw, and I don't know how Zoom works, but I saw someone had piped in saying, how do you spell the product? It's the Protandim is Protandim. That's the spelling of Protandim. But where you really want to go to look up information is if you go, yep, there. Oh, how'd you do that, Dawn? Nice job.
I've been on Zoom more than you.
Well, and I'm in the car now because my kids are coming down from the sitters. But that's where you want to go to look at that website. So I got to sign off now because my two amazing little miracles are running down the steps at me.
Thank you so much for being on here today. And I do this every Tuesday. You're welcome to come anytime or send people or.
I put out a friend request to you on Facebook. So if anybody on the call has any questions, they are more than welcome to Facebook me. And that's probably the easiest way to get me.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I'm going to try to figure out how to disconnect.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think that's her first Zoom meeting.
Oh, how wonderful. I love this. You know, I was a Google Hangout. Matter of fact, I still do a mastermind on Saturday mornings on a Google Hangout platform. And I've tried some of the other ones. I actually do something on Blab. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
No, I haven't.
But I run something on Blab, and that's more about the business that I'm in. But when I got invited to these Zooms, I'm like, this can help a lot of people. You can put 50 people in this room, so that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, and having the opportunity to record it and save the chat, I mean, it's very user friendly and easy to run, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I do a Zoom meeting every Tuesday and Wednesday night at 8:00 Central Time.
Oh, nice.
Anybody who's looking for more information on the products and the opportunity. And it's just a way to invite people and have everybody get together. And I keep it to 45 minutes, and I can always stay on longer to answer questions. But I was like, wow, I mean, now with technology, it's so easy to connect with people around the world and time zones, and then to be able to record it and the whiteboard feature in Zoom. It's really fun.
I haven't even started playing with that. Don't get me going.
Try it. It's fun. It's a little addicting.
I know. That's what I mean. I'll get addicted to it. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Please leave the information for your Zoom in the chat. Like I said, I'll save it. And if anyone contacts me, if you're watching this and you want the contact information for anybody or anything we've spoken about today, just get to me and I'll give you all the links. And I just think it's amazing that there are products out there that can have these. I know that, this whole thing about we can't really share testimonials. I understand that part of it because that's a FCC regulated thing, and we can get our companies in trouble talking about what it can or can't fix. But I've been in health product related companies in the past. One of them had amazing products. I was crushed when they went out of business because we had people that had made lots of progress, including myself. And then when that product was no longer available, we all started regressing, and it was so heartbreaking to have made, progress. And one gentleman with a closed head injury, and then he started going backwards, when his speech had gotten so good, and it was just like, oh my gosh. But sometimes it's because people say too much. So if we really know that we have a good product or a good thing going, we have to be careful what we say to protect ourselves and protect all the people that product is going to make miracles for.
Yeah.
So I completely get it and honor that. And but if you want, if you have a certain condition and you're wondering if this product can help it, get in touch here, and maybe there's somebody that actually had that can tell you themselves, this is what it did for me, or whatever. We can network. That's what networking is about, is hooking people up together. So
we could talk all day and night about those, when it's offline, on the people that have been helped. And it's sad that that we're living in a society that we cannot share information like that, because it can help so many people. And that's been the most amazing part of this journey, is to meet all these other people that have had chronic pain or multiple sclerosis or autism or ADHD or anxiety. And it's all linked to oxidative stress. And so I've never been a science person before this, before my own problems. And I think that, I think we think we're all invincible until we're not. And then you wake up, and then when you're talking to other people, when they're not open, I always think about, yep, you're still in that invincible mindset. There will come a day. And when that day happens, just please reach out to me, because this is not the time for you, and that's okay. But I want you to have the information so that if something does, God forbid, happen to you, that there's help out there, and you're not alone, and you're not the only one going through it, because it can be a very, very lonely world out there. And so I sympathize with Kaytee. And I was also, one of my clients was a neonatal group. And so we were doing the billing and the coding and the accounting for the babies, and hearing some of those stories when I would talk to the doctor, it's just heartbreaking. And I can't imagine. I was able to hold my babies as soon as they came out. I cannot imagine the emotional, what you have to go through, what she went through, not being able to hold her baby, and then not having people that were sympathetic to that.
yeah, it is. I took care of babies that their parents didn't get to hold them for months, when they're born really early. And it is so, because she's right, we blame ourselves. We shouldn't blame ourselves, but we do blame ourselves. It's like when my daughter was born, I was only 17, and I was really, really thin, and she was over 9 pounds. So she literally got stuck, and her shoulders had completely squared, and they had to reach in and break her collarbone to get her out, because she couldn't go back in for C-section. She was too far out, And I felt horrible about that. What kind of a mother am I to have to break my daughter's bone to get her out? I can't even give birth, and it's ridiculous when we look back at it. But at the time, it's, oh my goodness. And I was a strong patient advocate when I was in NICU. I went head to head with doctors on lots of occasions to get the parents to be able to hold, or, to not draw that blood if you can't give me a good reason to stick that kid 15 times to get it. I was always that patient advocate. And then when I wound, like you said, I thought I was invincible. And the pudendal nerves actually have an autonomic component as well. And my blood pressure has been 240 over 140. And I can be completely calm with the pain because I'm a meditator, and I know how to do breathing and, things to really calm me down, and it can still be really high. So I understand that part of it, and my father died of a stroke, so it's, so reducing stress is so important in your life. Anything that you can do to reduce stress, and if a product can help, then by all means, use it. Thank God for it and use it. That's what I say. And I would love to see Kaytee on it and see. Now, how long did your blood pressure stay up after you delivered?
Oh, I think it was a good 2 months, because I left. They finally let me go from the hospital, but I had to stay on high blood pressure medication, and I had never been on it before. Still feeling absolutely fine. I'm like, I don't get it. Why do I have to be on this? But it was probably a good 2 or 3 months. And then I went back down. I went back to normal. And my second and my third pregnancies, I didn't have any complications at all. So it was really a fluke. And the swelling that she said she had, yeah, I had cankles. I had, my ankles were so huge. I had cankles. I was so swollen. And that wasn't just right, that last week. It had been swollen for many months before that. I liked, the only part of being pregnant that I liked was the fact that you were growing a person inside of you. But otherwise, I was a miserable pregnant person. I was just like, get this baby out of me. And just the whole cycle of life, that was really cool. But otherwise, I was not a very good pregnant person. And I had some traumatic births. All 3 of my kids were very different births, and none of them went. I don't know if there's a birth that does go smoothly, but different. I guess there are, but there were different like little like things could have gone wrong, and then they ended up not. And my first baby was hours and hours and I didn't have epidural because I was trying to do everything natural. So the first 2 I didn't have epidural. My second baby was Pitocin, which is horrible. I won't go through that without an epidural. And then my third baby, I got smart. I said, I want the epidural. And it was a lot because all my labor was in my back. And I think that I blame my first 2 kids for somewhat of this disc herniating, because where my disc herniated was exactly where all my back labor was. And I think that maybe I was kind of convulsing so badly during that labor that it got a little worse. It got a little worse. And then it started hitting the sciatic nerve. So on the third baby, I said, give me the epidural. Maybe I can hopefully control that disc, which obviously is weak from herniating again. And, by the third baby, that heart rate on what that sound is supposed to be when they've got those heart monitors on you. And at the end, or kind of in the middle, my baby's heart rate was dropping, and it was getting so bad that it was like, da-da, da-da. And then suddenly there's a lot of people in the room, and they're just standing there very calmly. And you're like, why are all these people in the room? I don't need to be a doctor to know that something's not, they're worried about something. And they say, they're putting oxygen on me, and I didn't want a C-section. I'm like, come on, last baby, we got to get this done without a C-section. And they said, Dawn, we're going to check one more time, and then you need to push. And what happened was the cord was wrapped around her neck. Or no, it wasn't wrapped around her neck. There was a knot. She had done somersaults in utero, and she had there was a knot in the umbilical cord, and we didn't know that until she came out, and then the cord and the placenta came out, and the doctor's like, oh, here's the problem. And she holds up the umbilical cord, and there's a perfect knot in it. So as she was coming down, it got tighter and tighter and tighter and tight, and that's why she was losing oxygen or whatever she needs to live inside of you, and that's why her heart rate was dropping. So we had 3 close calls for different reasons, and everything turned out to be good. And but yeah, advocating for yourself, wow, I hope that the doctors work with Kaytee and find alternative, or she finds alternative things on her own. And Protandim is definitely, when I was hearing her story, I was like, oh wow, okay, oxidative stress causes that, Kaytee. Oxidative stress causes that. We'll show you where to look on pubmed.gov. It causes that, it causes this, it causes this. That you're like a walking billboard for this. And I can't imagine that it doesn't, and Dr. Leean can talk more about it, but I don't think I haven't heard of any drug counter indications, where it's going to conflict with drugs that she may be on. What she will have to really monitor herself is the blood pressure, because what has happened and it happened to our own mother, is she was on it. She had high blood pressure, and she's overweight. And when she started Protandim was the only thing she changed in her life, and she started not feeling well. And she went to the doctor and her blood pressure was too low because high blood pressure, oxidative stress, tied to protandim, take the protandim, you're reducing your oxidative stress. Her blood pressure was too low. They had to adjust her medications, which they've adjusted twice now, and she's off one of them. So it's a really good thing. So that's something that Kaytee would have to work in conjunction with her doctor and monitor it. If she's not feeling well, check that blood pressure. If she has a way to check it at home, if it's dropping too low, to go get her medications adjusted. And we've had so many people off just horrible medications. And so it's like, yay.
I love getting people off of medications. I mean, I was a nurse for 20 years, but most of my work was in NICU where I was given life-saving drugs. You know, I did do some work in dialysis, again, life-saving drugs, and I did some nursing home work, which those poor people, they have them on so many drugs, and I was always trying to find ways to get them off, you know. So when my nerves were trapped before I had my surgery, they were completely trapped for 5 years, and they tried me on a lot of different medications, and they tried very high doses of medications. I didn't go on the oxys, but they were trying really huge doses of something called gabapentin, which is for seizures.
Yeah.
And
I was at one point.
I was on really high doses of that for about 4 years, and there are parts of my life I just don't remember. And I mean, I came off of that drug accusing the IRS of taking money out of my account. I mean, it really messed up my head, and I didn't even realize how messed up it was. And it's really scary, some of the effects that the drugs, now you have to be careful because some of these drugs have to be weaned really, really slowly. So it's good to come off of them, but you can't just stop taking them like that because you can go in the hospital really quick if you make it there. So don't do that, you know. But if you can find ways to adjust your diet, if you can find, you know, just start building yourself a toolbox, and there's going to be lots of things that go into that toolbox, and each one of those things helps a little bit, and some things help a little more, you know, but just keep trying things because if you could just hold out, you know, something will come to you, or many things will come to you. And don't give up hope. I mean, I was so close myself. I was so close. And thank God. And now I found out this new procedure. I'm going to go to Atlanta and have it as soon as I save up the money to go. And I didn't really want to have another procedure. I've already had 2 surgeries, but for this thing. So, but this sounds promising. They've done studies. They're getting 100% results so far with no complications. And the pudendal nerves are sensory motor autonomic. So there's some motor concerns there with incontinence and things like that with those. So that's a concern, of course, but so far nothing like that. So just super excited. You know, new things come out every day. So I just want to encourage everybody to hold out. And do you have any final words, Dawn? And thank you so much. Whoever else is holding on there on the iPhone, I'm not sure if that's Dari or if that's still might be Kaytee. But
No, I think that's it. I guess as far as final words, just reach out to us, and when you've got people that you know that are suffering or are looking for something, I put my cell phone on there in the chat, and I put Jana, who is my sister, her website in there, who initially you had connected with, Catherine, and it's we can help so many people, and I just hate to hear people suffering, since I was a chronic pain sufferer, because it rules your life. And it changed, it scarred my 13-year-old watched me go through this at age 4. So she was old enough to start to understand when I was in pain. And to this day, she gets very emotional when something doesn't seem right. And fortunately, my other daughter doesn't, she was too oblivious, but so it does. And so it not only does it affect the person, it affects the entire family. And your ability to make money and your ability to work or your ability to take care of your family. And there's help. There's help. Just got to reach out and ask. And I tell people, put your pride aside, ask for help.
That's right. And we get independent, you know, sometimes we're too independent. And so that's a big part of it, is being able to reach out and accept help.
Mm-hmm. Especially women.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Cause we're the super moms or super grandma, you know, I'm the grannypreneur, man. I can do it.
What company are you in?
I'm with a company called OneCoin, and it's with digital currency and helping people grow their wealth. And it can be done passively or actively. You know, we have a couple different ways to go with that. So people are changing their lives. And one of the reasons why I feel good about that is because there are so many products out there that I know would help me. I can't afford them. You know, I need to have some money, and I need to have some money for my grandchildren. You know, this is something that's setting us all up. So, and it's people helping people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It is. Well, and if, since you're already in a different business, if the business of Life Vantage isn't for you, there is an opportunity to get your product for free by referring other people. They give you a 25% referral. And a lot of people will do that aren't interested in the business, that they refer their friends and family to us, and then you get the referral, and you can get up to about $120 of product for free each month. So that may be an option for you to at least get the benefits of the product, but yet save a lot of money.
Yeah,
so
that's great that they have that. I like companies that have, you know, the customer side and the business side, because not everybody can do a business or wants to, or, you know, they've already got 1 or 12 or however many, you know.
Right.
So our business has that too. You know, it's like one-time purchase, no monthly fees. It just makes you money for the next several years. So that's good when you can offer people, because a lot of people have bad connotations associated or have bad experiences with companies in the past. And the minute they hear network marketing or whatever, they, you know, shy away. But I'm telling you, I've never gone to the store and purchased any supplement that helped me a 100th as much as some of these products that I've gotten through networking companies. They really do. Some of them have very unique science, and you can't just go to Walmart and, you know, pick up the ingredients and take them and expect to get the same results, because you won't. It's these are scientifically put together to work synergistically together, the ingredients. I know that much just from the other companies that I've been in. And it feels good, I tell you, when you have something that's helping people with their finances or their health. You know, the wellness includes everything. You can't really be well unless you have all of these areas covered. So, so I don't want to keep going on, but thank you so much for joining me, Dawn. You are always welcome. And we'll send people your way. I'm going to save this chat, so I'll have the links and stuff.
All right. Thanks,
have a wonderful week.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye. Okay, guys, we will be back here next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mountain, 4 p.m. Eastern. Come join us, bring your products, bring your story. If you need some help figuring out what's wrong with you, that's what we're here for. So we'll talk to you next week.